Okay, Kaylee, we are going to read today My Weirdest School, number 7, Ms. Jojo is a Yo-Yo, by Dan Gutman, and pictures by Jim Palett. Let's see. There's some pictures with everybody that's in the story. The FAR, F-A-R test. My name is AJ, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I should watch my mouth. Watch your mouth, AJ, my teacher, Mr. Cooper, is always telling me. I don't get it. Grown-ups are always telling me to watch my mouth. How can I watch my mouth? It's right under my eyes. I can't watch it. I can't watch my ears either, because they're over the sides of my head, and I tried to watch them, but they were too far away. I could watch my nose, but then I'd be cross-eyed. So basically, I can't watch any of the stuff on my face unless I look in the mirror. The point is, I was at elementary school last week when the whole 3rd grade got called down to the all-purpose room. I don't know why they call it the all-porpoise room. There are no dolphins in there. So we lined up. There's AJ and his friends. We lined up and walked 1,100,000 miles. When we finally got to the all-porpoise room, you'll never believe who was up on the stage. It's Dr. Carbles, the president of the Board of Education. There's an asterisk here. And at the asterisk it says, I should be on the Board of Education because nobody's more bored of education than I am. Very true with our AJ. He's a mean man who drives a tank to school. What is his problem? Dr. Carbles was standing next to our principal, Mr. Klutz, who has no hair at all. He used to have hair, but it fell out a long time ago. Nobody knows why. "Tin hut!" shouted Dr. Carbles. Why was he counting huts? There weren't any huts in the all-porpoise room. What do huts have to do with anything? But everybody stood at attention as if we were soldiers. I have an announcement to make, Dr. Carbles shouted. I called you in here to tell you, blah, 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 blah. 1 week from today, all the students at elementary school will be taking a standardized test. Blah, 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 blah. You 3rd graders will take the fundamental arithmetic reading test. Here's a picture of him with the test. Fundamental arithmetic reading test. I hate standardized tests. A big groan spread across the all-porpoise room. Porpoise. Dr. Carbles held up a sign that said Fundamental Arithmetic Reading Test. We all started elbowing each other and giggling because we realized that the first letters of the Fundamental Arithmetic Reading Test spelled fart. Anytime anybody says anything that sounds like fart, you have to giggle and elbow the person next to you. That's the first rule of being a kid. Quiet, shouted Dr. Carbles. Sit down. We sat down. Dr. Carbles said fart, I whispered to my friend Michael, who never ties his shoes. What do you think is going to be on the fart? Whispered Ryan, who will eat anything, even stuff that isn't food. I heard that the fart is really hard, whispered Neil, who we call the nude kid, even though he does wear clothes. What happens if we fail the F-A-R-T, whispered Alexia, this girl who rides a skateboard all the time. I'm going to study for the F-A-R-T as soon as I get home from school, whispered Andrea, this annoying girl with curly brown hair. Me too, whispered Emily, who does everything Andrea does. Everybody in the all-porpoise room was buzzing around about the F-A-R-T, but not like bees. That would be weird. Mr. Klutz held up his sign and made a peace sign, which means shut up, but everybody ignored him. Stop saying fart, shouted Dr. Carbles. Watch your mouths. Even the teachers were freaking out about the fart. Oh no, not the fart, groaned Mr. Cooper. Mrs. Rupee, our librarian, slapped her own forehead. Oh. Mr. Docker, our science teacher, rolled his eyes. Mrs. Jaffe, our vice principal, put her head in her hands. On the other side, one of the other third grade teachers slumped in her seat. The teachers must hate standardized tests just as much as kids do. Everybody in the all-porpoise room was complaining about the fart. "Quiet!" shouted Dr. Carbles. "You kids had better score high on the fundamental arithmetic reading test, or else blah, 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 blah. Now get out of here. Go back to your classes. Beat it." "Okay, Pringle up, everybody," said Mr. Cooper. I say some weird things. We lined up like Pringles and marched out of the all-porpoise room. Left, right, shouted Dr. Carbles. It took 1,100,000 hours to march back to our classroom. When we passed by the front office, I saw Dr. Carbles yelling at Mr. Klutz. "At last I'll be able to shut down this terrible school," Dr. Carbles said, rubbing his hands together. "You'll be finished, Klutz, finished, for good. Blah!" Anytime grown-ups rub their hands together and say, "Blah!" you know they want to take over the world. That's the first rule of being a grown-up. But, said Mr. Klutz. I giggled because Mr. Klutz said but, which sounds just like but, even though there's only one T. "Do you think Dr. Carbles would really shut down our school?" asked Andrea. "He can do anything he wants," said Alexia. "He's the president of the Board of Education. That's like being a king." Wait a minute. That's when it hit me. If Dr. Carbles shuts down our school, we won't have to go to school anymore. Sounds good to me. What's the problem? Chapter 2. Practice makes you worse. The next day, Mr. Cooper came running into the class all excited. Mr. Cooper thinks he's a superhero and he wears a cape. What's up with that? "We have 5 days to get ready for the FART, he announced. "We're not going to let Dr. Carbles shut down elementary school, are we, kids?" "No!" shouted all the girls. "Yes!" shouted all the boys. "We're going to fight for our school," said Mr. Cooper. "Isn't that right, kids?" "Yes!" shouted all the girls. "No!" shouted all the boys. There were some basic disagreements about education between boys and girls. "You kids are going to crush the FART, yelled Mr. Cooper. "Crush the fart," Ryan chanted as he stood up. "Crush the fart." We all jumped up and started chanting, "Crush the fart." Chanting is cool. You should chant stuff. It's whenever you can. That's another first rule of being a kid. Mr. Cooper lowered his voice to a whisper like he was going to tell us a big secret. "I'm going to tell you a big secret," he whispered. "Ooh, I love secrets," said Alexia. "I went on the internet," said Mr. Cooper, "and I downloaded a practice FART. This will help to prepare you for the real FART. "I love practice tests," said Andrea, who loves any kind of test, because it gives her the chance to show everybody how smart she is. "Me too," said Emily, of course. There's a picture of him with the test. What is their problem? I hate all tests, real or practice. Andrea waved her hand in the air like she was washing a big window with a sponge. "Yes, Andrea?" asked Mr. Cooper. "Is the FART a multiple choice test?" she asked. Ugh, I hate multiple choice tests. A multiple choice test is a test that has more than one choice for the answers, so it has the perfect name. They give you the right answer. It's staring you in the face. But they also throw in a bunch of wrong answers, so you don't know which answer is the right one. That's mean. It would be a lot easier if multiple choice tests only gave you one choice. Here's an asterisk. It's like when you go to the supermarket for toothpaste. They have mint toothpaste, whitening toothpaste, toothpaste that fights plaque, toothpaste in different sizes. Too many choices. I just want toothpaste, and I don't even like brushing my teeth. "No, Andrea," said Mr. Cooper, "it's not multiple choice." The FART is a fill-in-the-blank test. Oh, good. Filling in blanks is a lot easier. You can write anything you want. Mr. Cooper told us to take out our number 2 pencils. We all started giggling because Mr. Cooper said number 2. Anytime a grown-up says number 2, you should giggle because we all know what number 2 means, and it has nothing to do with pencils. I'm going to pass out, Mr. Cooper said. He's going to pass out, shouted Ryan. Call an ambulance, shouted Michael. I'm going to pass out the practice tests, said Mr. Cooper. Oh, said Ryan and Michael. This will be just like a real FART, Mr. Cooper explained to us as he handed each of us a sheet of paper. The reading questions are on the front and the arithmetic questions are on the back. You'll have 10 minutes to complete both sides. Ready, set, go. Mr. Cooper set a timer. I looked at the first paragraph on the sheet. It said, one day, Tony and Maria were walking home from school. They stopped off at a store that was selling bicycles. Blah, 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 blah. There was other stuff about Tony and Maria getting into trouble or something. I didn't read the whole thing. Then it asked, what is the main idea of this paragraph? Well, that was easy. I filled in the blank by writing, Tony and Maria should take the bus. Duh, right? I looked at the next question. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. What is the lesson of this story? It was obvious. The lesson of the story is that Jack and Jill were dummies who should get water out of the faucet in their house like normal people. I wrote that down. This is a piece of cake, whispered Ryan, who sits next to me. Huh? What did cake have to do with anything? Ryan is weird. I looked at the next question. It was a really long paragraph. I didn't read every word, but it had something to do with birds and bats. I scanned down to the bottom where the question was. How are bats different than birds? That was easy. I wrote this in the blank. You can't hit a ball with a bird. I looked at the next question. Look at this picture. What is going to happen next? I looked at the picture. It was a drawing of a guy carrying an umbrella while 2 kids were tossing a ball back and forth, and some lady was putting food on a picnic table. What? Anything could happen next. How was I supposed to know what was going to happen next? I raised my hand. How are we supposed to know what happens next? I asked Mr. Cooper. Use your imagination, he replied. I used my imagination and filled in the blank. Next, a bear will attack the family and eat them. So instead of the family having a nice picnic, the bear has one. I answered a few more questions like that. The FART was easy. I was halfway done, and I was crushing it. I gave Ryan a thumbs up. I turned over the sheet to work on the math questions. Ugh, I hate math. The first question had a picture of a shoebox with a bunch of spiders in it. The question was, is the number of objects in the box odd or even? Clearly the answer was odd because it would be odd to put spiders in a shoebox. Who does that? I wrote that down and looked at the next question. A pen costs $7. How many pens can you buy for $35? Why would I want to buy pens? I could just borrow a pen from Ryan. He has lots of pens. Duh. I wrote that down and moved on to the next question. Your favorite TV show is 30 minutes long. How many episodes can you watch in 2 hours? Here's a picture. I'm not sure what it's of, but it's a picture on this page when they were talking about the spiders in the box, in the shoebox. Maybe that picture goes with, oh, it does. It goes with the story of the bears and the picnic. We're back to the TV shows. That depends on how many TVs you watch at the same time. I wrote down the number 10 and moved on to the next question. Sammy has 32 socks, which he puts into pairs. How many pairs of socks can he make? How should I know? My mom does the laundry. I wrote 0. I looked at the next question. Tommy lost 2 teeth. The tooth fairy left 4 dimes, 3 nickels, and 2 quarters under his pillow. How much money did the tooth fairy leave for Tommy? Ha, it was a trick question. Everybody knows the tooth fairy doesn't exist, and if she did exist, she wouldn't be so cheap. I wrote that down and went on to the next question. A paperclip is made from 6 inches of wire. How much wire would you need to make 5 paperclips? What? Who makes their own paperclips? Can't you just buy them at the store? I wrote that down and looked at the next question. A new skateboard costs $47.99. Joe has $12.54. How much more money does he need to buy a new skateboard? I know a lot about skateboards. The obvious answer was no money. I wrote that Joe should wait until his birthday or Christmas so he can get the skateboard for free. That's pretty clever. I looked at the next question. You have 8 plums in a basket. You give some of them away, leaving 2 plums in the basket. How many plums did you give away? Me? I'd give away all the plums. I hate plums. Oh, AJ. I wrote that down and looked at the next question. Maggie went trick-or-treating and collected 100 candy bars. Her mom took 79 of them away to save for later. How many candy bars did Maggie eat on Halloween night? 100, of course. Maggie found where her mom hid the candy bars and ate them all. I wrote that down. That was the last question on the page. Time hadn't even run out yet. That's how easy the test was. A minute later, Mr. Cooper's alarm buzzed. "Pencils down," he said, and he collected the papers. "How long will it take to grade the tests?" asked Andrea. "A few minutes," Mr. Cooper replied. He sat at his desk to grade the tests, and you'll never believe who poked his head into the doorway at that moment. Nobody. Not the doorway, into the door, sorry. Nobody. Who would poke your head into a door? That would hurt. But you'll never believe who poked his head into the doorway. It was Mr. Klutz. "So how did you kids do on your practice tests?" he asked us. "We crushed it," I told him. Took 1,100,000 minutes for Mr. Cooper to finish checking our answers. Finally, he looked up. We were all on the edge of our seats. Well, not really. We were sitting in the middle of our seats, but there was electricity in the air. Well, not really. If there was electricity in the air, we would have all been electrocuted. But it was really tense. "So, how did the kids make out?" asked Mr. Klutz. Gross. We weren't making out." Mr. Cooper didn't look very happy. "They all failed the test," he said sadly. "What? Even me?" asked Andrea, who never fails anything. "The whole class failed," said Mr. Cooper. Everybody started yelling and screaming and hooting and hollering and freaking out. "What are we going to do?" shouted Emily. She always looked like she was going to cry, like always. "I can't believe it," shouted Michael. "They're going to shut down the school," shouted Neil. "I'm going to lose my job," shouted Mr. Cooper. "Me too," shouted Mr. Klutz. "My life is ruined," shouted Alexia. "This is going to look bad on my record," shouted Andrea. "I won't get into Harvard." I looked out into the hallway, and you'll never believe who was standing out there watching all this. It was Dr. Carbles. He had a big smile on his face, and he was rubbing his hands together. There's a picture of the class. Chapter 3, Getting Zenergized. That's a new word. There were 4 days until the FART, and everybody was stressed about it. That's when Mr. Klutz came to visit our class again. He was with our school counselor, Dr. Brad, who has crazy hair and looks like a mad scientist in a horror movie. "Dr. Carbles wants to make you nervous, so you'll fail the FART, said Mr. Klutz. So I thought Dr. Brad might be able to help. "The whole school is feeling so much stress," said Dr. Brad, who talks funny. "We all need to calm down about this test." "Dr. Brad thinks he can help us relax," said Mr. Klutz. "Yes, I want to try something," said Dr. Brad. "Sit down, Mr. Klutz." Mr. Klutz sat in a chair. Dr. Brad took a shiny metal watch out of his pocket. It was attached to a chain. He dangled the watch in front of Mr. Klutz's face and began slowly swinging it back and forth. "Look at this very closely," said Dr. Brad softly. "It will help you to be calm." "Are you hypnotizing me?" Mr. Klutz asked as he stared at the watch. "Yes," said Dr. Brad. "See the shiny watch? Stare at it as it swings back and forth. The eyelids feel a little heavy, yes?" "Heavy," Mr. Klutz mumbled. "I know all about hypnosis. People will do anything when they're hypnotized. One time, I hypnotized Andrea. She climbed up to the roof of the school and screamed at the police when they tried to get her to come down. That was the greatest day of my life." There's another asterisk. You can read all about it in a book called Dr. Brad Has Gone Mad. "Stare at the watch as it swings," said Dr. Brad. "Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth," repeated Mr. Klutz like a robot. "Feeling sleepy?" asked Dr. Brad. "Sleepy," moaned Mr. Klutz. "Soon you will be in a deep sleep," said Dr. Brad. "You will be relaxed. You will be calm. You will stop stressing about the test." "Relaxed, calm," moaned Mr. Klutz. There he is. "It's working," shouted Ryan. "He hypnotized Mr. Klutz." That's when the weirdest thing in the history of the world happened. Mr. Klutz suddenly stood up, flapped his arms, and started to cluck like a chicken. "Bawk, bawk, bawk," said Mr. Klutz. There he goes, running around the room, clucking. "What are you doing?" asked Dr. Brad. "I'm a chicken," shouted Mr. Klutz, running around the class and flapping his arms. "Bawk, bawk, bawk. Where can I lay my eggs?" "Mr. Klutz is nuts!" Michael shouted. Mr. Klutz ran a few laps around the classroom looking for a place to lay his eggs. Then, just as suddenly, he stopped acting like a chicken. He looked like himself again. "I wasn't in a trance," he told us. "I wasn't hypnotized for a second. I was just kidding." "It only works on some people," said Dr. Brad. "Exactly," said Mr. Klutz. "Even if it had worked, it would be impossible to hypnotize the whole school. But I have another idea that might help lower everybody's stress level." He went out in the hall for a minute. When he came back, a lady was with him. She had long black hair and she wasn't wearing shoes. "This is Ms. Jojo," Mr. Klutz announced. "She's a wellness expert." "She digs wells?" I asked. And there's a picture of Miss Jojo. "No, dumbhead," said Andrea. "She makes people feel well." "I knew that," I lied. I was going to say something mean to Andrea, but I couldn't come up with anything good. "Namaste," said Miss Jojo. She bowed to us with her hands pressed together, maybe something like this. Whatever that is. "Huh?" we all said, which is also huh backwards. "Namaste," said Miss Jojo slowly. "That means the light in me bows to the light in you." "Why don't you have shoes on?" asked Michael. "Shoes are jail cells for the feet," Miss Jojo replied. That's weird. Yeah, I think that sounds a little strange. Ms. Jojo had a machine with her. It looked sort of like a big toaster. She plugged it into the wall socket. "What does that thing do?" asked Ryan. "This is a mood meter," she replied. "It reads the stress level of people in a room." Ms. Jojo turned on the mood meter, and a few seconds later it beeped. "Oh," she said, "the stress level in this room is over 100. That's very high. You kids must be really stressed out." "Yes," said Mr. Klutz, "everyone is on edge because they have to take the fundamental arithmetic reading test in a few days." "If our school doesn't do well," added Mr. Cooper, The president of the Board of Education is going to shut us down. Can you help us?" "I'll try," said Ms. JoJo. "I've never worked with children before, but I'll do my best. Let's do a little exercise. Everybody close your shoes and take off your eyes." "Huh?" we all asked. "I mean, take off your shoes and close your eyes," said Ms. JoJo. "Oh, that's different." We took off our shoes and closed our eyes. "Now take deep breaths," said Ms. JoJo. We all took deep breaths, even the grown-ups. "Hold it and let it out," she said softly. "In and out. In and out." "I already know how to breathe," I said. "If I didn't know how to breathe, I'd be dead." Nobody laughed at my joke. They were all breathing in and out. "Now picture a beam of energy," said Ms. JoJo. "Ride it out of your body, up into the air and towards the stars." I pretended that I was riding a beam of energy out of my body and into outer space. It was cool. "Very good," said Ms. JoJo. "Now repeat after me." "After me," we all repeated. "No," said Ms. JoJo. "I mean repeat after me." "After me, after me, after me," we all repeated. "After me, after 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 me." We repeated after me for like 1,100,000 minutes. Finally, Ms. JoJo said we could stop repeating after me and open our eyes. "How do you feel?" asked Ms. JoJo. "I feel more relaxed already," said Mr. Klutz. "Me too," said Ryan. "Me 3, said Neil. "Me 4, said Alexia. In case you were wondering, everybody said they felt more relaxed. Ms. JoJo went over to look at the mood meter. "Look," she said, "your stress level is down to 94. That's still very high, but it's a big improvement. If we can get your stress level down to 50, you will be really relaxed." "Fantastic!" exclaimed Mr. Klutz. "What do you call that breathing exercise?" Miss JoJo replied, "I call it Zenergizing." Chapter 4, Toga Party. Ms. JoJo's Zenergizing was so successful that Mr. Klutz hired her to come back and help us every day leading up to the big FART. It was in 3 days. "Namaste," Ms. JoJo said as she came into the class and bowed to us. "Namaste," we all replied. "What are you going to do today, Ms. JoJo?" asked Neil. "Are we going to get Zenergized again?" asked Alexia. "No, today we're going to do yoga," replied Ms. JoJo. I never did yoga before, so I decided that it's dumb. Anything you never did before is dumb. That's the first rule of being a kid. "Ooh, I love yoga," shouted Andrea, who loves everything grown-ups love. "I signed up to take a yoga class after school." Andrea takes classes in everything after school. If they gave classes in blowing your nose, she would take that class so she could get better at it. "I love yoga too," shouted Emily, who loves everything Andrea loves. "My mom takes a class in goat yoga," said Ryan. "They do yoga exercises while goats climb all over them." Everybody laughed because we were picturing people doing yoga while goats were climbing all over them. "That's ridiculous," said Ms. JoJo. "I would never do anything that silly." "So what kind of yoga are we going to do?" Andrea asked. "Turtle yoga," replied Ms. JoJo. "I call it toga." She went out into the hall and came back wheeling a bunch of yoga mats and a big aquarium filled with turtles. "Where do you think Ms. JoJo got all those turtles?" Ryan whispered to me. "From Rent a Turtle," I whispered back. "You can rent anything." "These are my emotional support turtles," said Ms. JoJo. "They help me relax." "They're adorable," said Emily, who thinks all animals are adorable. "Lie down on these shoes and take off your yoga mats," said Ms. JoJo. I mean, take off your shoes and lie down on these yoga mats. Ms. JoJo got on the floor and showed us something called the cow pose. It's a pose that makes you look like a cow, so it has the perfect name. While we all did the cow pose, she put a turtle on each of our backs. It was a weird feeling, but cool too. Turn off your eyes and close your brain, said Miss Jojo. Turn off your brain and close your eyes. Are you feeling your inner turtle? I am, said Andrea. Turtles are ticklish, said Alexia. My turtle is walking on my back, said Michael. Turtle yoga is fun, said Ryan. Imagine that you're playing fetch with your turtle, said Miss Jojo. It's really hard playing fetch with a turtle. There they all are with turtles on their backs. Very, very strange. You throw a stick or something and the turtle doesn't come back with it for like an hour. Doing yoga with turtles was ridiculous but fun. Miss Jojo taught us a bunch of poses. Downward facing dog, lion pose, cobra pose, tree pose. In the middle of it, Mr. Klutz came in. I just wanted to see how the kids were making out, he said. Ugh, gross. We're having a toga party, Ryan told him. Toga, 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 I chanted. I thought everybody was going to chant with me, but nobody did. Everybody was just looking at me. I hate it when that happens. Suddenly, for no reason, Emily started freaking out. What's the matter, Emily? Asked Andrea. I think my turtle just peed on me, Emily shouted. It was hilarious. Everybody was laughing, even Emily. We were all relaxed and having fun. I think that's the picture of her turtle peeing on her. Miss Jojo went over to check out the mood meter. The turtle yoga must be working, she said. See, your stress level has dropped down to 76. Great job, Miss Jojo, said Mr. Klutz. Namaste, she replied. Here's another asterisk. This book comes with a money-back guarantee. If you're not completely satisfied, we guarantee that you won't get your money back. Chapter 5, Sense and Nonsense. There were only 2 more days until the FART. We were still nervous about the test, but thanks to Ms. Jojo, everybody was getting relaxed. We couldn't wait to see what she was going to do with us next. Namaste, she said as she walked into our classroom. She was carrying a tray with a bunch of paper cups on it. Namaste, we all replied. Are you kids getting relaxed? She asked. Yeah, we all said. Great. Get on your shoes and take off the floor. Huh? Get on the floor and take off your shoes. Oh, that's different. Today we're going to relax your senses, said Miss Jojo as she gave each of us a cup with some green stuff in it. First, your sense of taste. Drink this. What is it? Mint? I asked as I took a sip. It's celery juice, she replied. It's a superfood. Ugh! Celery juice tasted like celery, but even yuckier. I thought I was going to die. Everybody hated the taste, except for Andrea and Emily, of course. They asked for seconds. Oh, there they all are drinking their juice. Ms. Jojo felt bad that we didn't like her celery juice, so she gave each of us pacifier, which are those things they give to crying babies to keep them quiet. What am I supposed to do with this? I asked. Suck on it, of course, said Ms. Jojo. But they're for babies, complained Ryan. Aren't we all just babies that got bigger? Asked Ms. Jojo. Pacifiers relax children of all ages. I sucked on the pacifier. She was right. It was relaxing. Next, Miss Jojo went out into the hall and came back carrying a big tent, the kind you use when you go camping. She pushed some of our desks aside and opened up the tent in the middle of the room. What are we going to do with the tent? Asked Michael. It's not just a tent, Miss Jojo replied as she climbed inside. It's an aroma dome. It will help relax your sense of smell. Come on in. We all climbed into the aroma dome. Miss Jojo lit some stinky candles and told us to breathe in the essential oils. Then she took a banana out of her pocket. What's that for? Neil asked. Miss Jojo peeled the banana and told Neil to rub the peel on his ears. He did. This was getting weird. Banana oil calms your nerves and relieves your stress, she told Neil as she ate the banana. Go ahead, everybody try it. I wasn't going to rub a banana peel on my ears. No way. That was just too weird. But everybody else in the class started rubbing the banana peel on their ears. I didn't want to look like the weird kid, so I rubbed the banana peel on my ears. It felt strange, but kind of nice. Your skin absorbs the vitamins from the banana, said Miss Jojo. After that, she burned some green leafy stuff called sage. She said it promotes healing and gets rid of bad vibes, negative energy, and evil spirits. It also stinks. I was afraid it might set off the fire alarm. Said Andrea. It smells nice in here. The Aromadome is like a rainforest, said Miss Jojo, but without the forest. Then there's an asterisk. Or the rain. There they all are in the Aromadome. Next, let's relax our sense of hearing. She told us to get on the floor of the Aromadome and lie face down. Then she took a bunch of big bowls out of a sack and put one bowl on each of our backs. This was getting really weird. What's with the bowls? Asked Alexia. This is called singing bowl therapy, said Miss Jojo. Ready for a sound bath? She hit each bowl with her hand. Boing! My bowl vibrated like crazy. It felt buzzy all over. Vibrational healing dates back to ancient times, said Miss Jojo. It blocks out noise pollution and helps you escape from the stress of modern life. Isn't it soothing? Boing! Boing! Invite calm into your brain, said Miss Jojo. Unwind and go with the flow. Let the flow flow through your body. Singing bowl therapy is cool. Miss Jojo let us switch bowls so we could feel different vibrations. Boing! Boing! Finally, we need to relax your sense of touch, Miss Jojo said as she collected up the bowls. Everyone turn and face the student on your left. Oh dear. I turned to my left. It was Andrea. Uh-oh. This will really help you to relax, said Miss Jojo. I'd like you to gently massage that student's feet. No, I'm not going to touch your feet, I told Andrea. Arlo, you have to, Andrea replied. Miss Jojo said so. This was the worst moment of my life. I wanted to run away to Antarctica and go live with the penguins. Penguins didn't have to give each other foot massages. I didn't want the guys to make fun of me for rubbing Andrea's feet, but Ryan was rubbing Neil's feet. Emily was rubbing Michael's feet. Everybody was rubbing somebody else's feet. So I rubbed Andrea's feet. Ugh, disgusting. I thought I was gonna die. Oh, Ryan said, AJ is rubbing Andrea's feet. They must be in love. When are you gonna get married? Asked Michael. If those guys weren't my best friends. There he is. I would hate them. Ms. Jojo had us do foot massages for 1,100,000 minutes. Okay, now all your senses should be relaxed, she said. Ms. Jojo climbed out of the Aromadome to check the mood meter. It said our stress level was down to 62. Wow, we all said, which is mom upside down. We were getting really relaxed. Chapter 6, Total Relaxation. It was our last day before the FART. While we were putting our backpacks into our cubbies, I told Ryan that Miss Jojo must be super relaxed all the time. She probably never gets stressed out. She's cool as a cucumber, said Ryan. Huh? What did cucumbers have to do with anything? Namaste, Miss Jojo said as she came into the class. Namaste, we replied. Miss Jojo was carrying a bowl in her arms. I thought we might be doing more singing bowl therapy, but there were pink blocks in the bowl and an electrical cord hanging out of the bottom. What's that? Asked Emily. It's a crystal salt lamp, Miss Jojo replied. She told us the crystal salt chunks were millions of years old and they came from Pakistan. She plugged the cord into the electrical outlet on the wall. The bowl gave off a warm pink glow. I am grooving on it, said Ryan, nodding his head. Yeah, man, said Michael. The crystal salt lamp produces ions that change the electrical charge of the air, Miss Jojo explained. This will boost your mood and balance your aura. I had no idea what she was talking about. Now I have a special surprise, she told us. She went out into the hallway and came back with this thing that looked like a pyramid. What's that? We all asked. In ancient Egypt, said Miss Jojo, they believed that pyramids had a mysterious secret energy. They line up with the Earth's magnetic field. The pyramid was actually a bunch of pyramids that fit inside each other, like a stack of ice cream cones. Ms. Jojo gave each of us a pyramid. What are we supposed to do with it? Andrea asked. You put it on your head, of course, replied Ms. Jojo. We put the pyramids on our heads. Good, said Ms. Jojo. Now repeat after me. There they all are with their pyramids on their heads. After me, after me, after me, we repeated. The mind is infinite, she said. After me, after me, after me. Turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream, she said. After me, after me, after me. Love is love. Here's another asterisk. Ugh, she said the L word. After me, after me, after me. Feel your cosmic energy. After me, after me, after me. Now slowly bring yourself back to your awareness. After me, after me, after me. Did you feel your heart rate slow down? Asked Miss Jojo. My heart slowed down so much that it almost stopped beating, said Neil. Good, said Miss Jojo. Now I'm going to blow the ceremonial conch trumpet to help you return to reality. She started blowing some weird trumpet thing, and you'll never believe who walked into the door at that moment. Nobody. Walking into a door would hurt. I thought we went over that in chapter 2, but you'll never believe who walked into the doorway. It was Dr. Brad and Mr. Klutz. We took the pyramids off our heads. Why were you wearing pyramids on your heads? Asked Mr. Klutz. Ms. Jojo told us that pyramids create a mysterious secret energy force that lines up with the Earth's magnetic field, Ryan explained. I thought Mr. Klutz might be mad that we were wearing pyramids on our heads, but he wasn't. Hey, if wearing a pyramid on your head lowers your stress level, I'm all for it, he said. There's Ms. Jojo blowing that thing. Ms. Jojo went over and checked the mood meter. It said our stress level was down to 50. Everybody started cheering. Woohoo! The students are totally relaxed now, stress-free, and ready to bring your FART, ready for your big FART tomorrow, said Ms. Jojo. That is fantastic, said Mr. Klutz. We owe it all to you, Ms. Jojo. I don't know how you did it. Whatever she did works even better than hypnosis, said Dr. Brad. Miss Jojo must be a genius. She should get the Nobel Prize. That's the prize they give out to people who don't have bells. Thank you, Miss Jojo replied. I'm sure the students are going to crush the FART tomorrow. Crush the fart, I chanted as I jumped up. Crush the fart. I thought, once again, everybody was going to jump up and chat with me, but nobody jumped up. Nobody chanted. Everybody was looking at me. I hate when that happens. There's those three standing there talking. Chapter 7, The Big Fart. Finally, it was FART day, and I wasn't stressed at all. By this point, we were all so relaxed, nothing could stress us out. Namaste, Miss Jojo said when she came into our class. For the first time, she wasn't barefoot. Miss Jojo, Alexia said, you're wearing sandals. Yes, this is a special occasion, she told us. Do you like them? They're made from recycled Himalayan dream catchers. They're pretty, said Andrea, who thinks everything girls wear is pretty. Good luck on the FART today, said Ms. Jojo. I'm sure you kids are going to do great. We go with the flow, man, said Ryan. It is what it is, said Alexia. I'm so chill, said Neil. I might fall asleep in the middle of the fart. Whatever, I said. That's when Dr. Carbles came in with Mr. Klutz. Dr. Carbles was rubbing his hands together. These kids are going to fail big time, he said excitedly, and elementary school will be shut down forever. There he is, rubbing his hands. Oh, I think our students may surprise you, said Mr. Klutz. They're totally relaxed and ready, thanks to Ms. Jojo. We took out our number 2 pencils, and Dr. Carbles handed out the test sheets. The FART looked a lot like the practice test we had taken. The reading part was on one side and arithmetic was on the other side. We had 10 minutes to finish both sides of the test. On your mark, get set, go, said Dr. Carbles. I looked at the first question. It was the story about a girl who doesn't know how to swim, so she takes swimming lessons. Then she's in a canoe that tips over and she saves her best friend's life. The question was, what is the lesson of the story? It was obvious. I wrote, instead of going canoeing, she should take a turtle yoga class. I looked at the next question. It was a long paragraph about 2 kids who find a secret cave with a magic lamp and a genie in it. The kids argue over the 3 wishes they should wish for. The question was, what is the main idea of this paragraph? Well, that was easy. I wrote, who cares? Those kids should turn off their minds, relax, and float downstream. I looked at the next question. It was about a bunch of animals. The question was, how are frogs different than toads? How are alligators different from crocodiles? I wrote, instead of talking about the differences between living creatures, we should talk about the ways we're all the same. I moved on to the next question. Look at this picture. What is going to happen next? I looked at the picture. It showed a family of bunnies frolicking in a field with a hunter stalking them in the corner. There's the picture of it. You can hardly see that hunter in the bushes. I wrote, the bunnies are going to give each other foot massages and take a sound bath so they can feel their cosmic energy. I answered a few more questions like that. Then I turned the sheet over to work on the math questions. The first one was, a pair of new shoes costs $50. How many pairs of shoes can Mary buy for $300? Simple, I wrote, none. Shoes are jail cells for the feet. I moved on to the next question. It takes 25 minutes to play your favorite video game. How many games can you play in 2 hours? Easy, I wrote, none. Instead of playing video games, from now on, I'm going to spend my free time sitting under the pyramid while sucking on a pacifier. I moved on to the next question. Josh lost his favorite action figure while playing with it on the school bus. A new one will cost $16. He has saved $5.60. How much more money does he need to replace his toy? I wrote, he should save up for a crystal salt lamp instead. I looked at the next question. There are 5 12-inch pillows on a 96-inch couch. How much space should you put between each pillow so they are equally spaced on the couch? I wrote, does it really matter? I mean, really? Climate change may make the earth uninhabitable. Why worry about where the pillows are placed on the couch? I looked at the next question. Johnny has 17 bananas. He gives some of them away, leaving him with 8 bananas. How many bananas did he give away? I wrote, I don't know, but Johnny should rub his banana peels on his ears and drink some celery juice. I looked at the next question. Jane went trick-or-treating and collected 76 Kit Kat bars. Her parents took 52 of them away to save for later. How many Kit Kat bars did Jane eat that night? I wrote, none. Jane cut out sugar and became a vegan. Namaste. The light in me bows to the light in you. That was the last question on the page. Beep! Pencils down, shouted Dr. Carbles. We passed our papers up to Mr. Cooper so he could grade them. It took like 1,100,000 minutes. Mr. Klutz was hovering over his shoulder the whole time. How did the kids make out? He asked. Gross. We didn't make out. I just need 1 more minute, said Mr. Cooper. While Mr. Cooper graded our tests, There was no electricity in the air. Nobody was on pins and needles. We were all sitting in the middle of our seats. That's how relaxed we were. Finally, Mr. Cooper put down his pencil and looked up. "It's the moment of truth," said Dr. Carbles, rubbing his hands together. Mr. Cooper said, "The result of the FART is," there's an asterisk here, "don't look at the next page. Don't look at the next page. Don't look at the next page." Oh, you looked at the next page. Chapter 8, The Truth About Ms. Jojo. "Everybody failed," said Mr. Cooper. "What?" shouted Ms. Jojo. "The whole class failed the test? How can that be? There must be some mistake." For the first time ever, she looked really upset. "I'm sorry," said Mr. Cooper. "They failed." To tell you the truth, I didn't care that we all failed the fart. None of us cared. We were all so relaxed, nothing seemed to matter. "Oh well," I said, "it is what it is." "Such is life," said Neil. "You can't win 'em all," said Ryan. "So it goes," said Michael. "Life is too short to worry about silly tests anyway," said Mr. Klutz. There they all are, looking at the tests. "There's no use crying over spilled milk," said Andrea. "Huh? What did milk have to do with anything?" The only person who seemed to care that we failed the FART was Dr. Carbles. He had a big grin on his face, and he was rubbing his hands together. "That's it," he shouted. "Finally, I have a reason to shut down elementary school. All the teachers are fired. Klutz, you're fired. At last, my dreams have come true. Wah-ha-ha-ha." There's an asterisk. Be sure to rub your hands together and say, like this, "Wah-ha-ha-ha," in your most evil, mad scientist voice. There was total silence. You could have heard a pin drop, but not a polling pin. They make a lot of noise. There's Dr. Carbles celebrating. Does this mean we don't have to go to school anymore?" I asked. "No," shouted Dr. Carbles. "It means you little monsters will have to go to some other school. You'll probably be in 3rd grade for the rest of your lives. Wah! What? Bummer in the summer. I thought that if our school closed down, we wouldn't have to go to school anymore. This was the worst thing to happen since TV turnoff week. I wanted to run away to Antarctica and go live with the penguins. Penguins don't have to take the FART. "What about me?" asked Miss Jojo. She looked like she was about to cry. "You're fired too," shouted Dr. Carbles. "Beat it and take your stinky candles with you." That's when Miss Jojo went nuts. "No!" she shrieked. "How could the kids have failed? I worked so hard to get them relaxed." "Maybe they were too relaxed," said Mr. Klutz. "What am I going to do now?" shouted Miss Jojo. "I need this job. It's not fair. You told me to lower the kids' stress level, and that's exactly what I did. I can't take it." Miss Jojo was crying and shouting, "I can't take it! I can't take it!" over and over again. Then she got down on the ground and started kicking her feet and beating her fists against the floor, like she's having a fit. "You need to calm down, Miss Jojo," said Mr. Klutz. We all gathered around her on the floor. "Take a deep breath, Miss Jojo," I told her. "Unwind and go with the flow." "Breathe in and out," said Andrea. "Leave me alone," Miss Jojo shouted. "I know how to breathe." Miss Jojo is a yo-yo. She was yelling and screaming and hooting and hollering, having a total temper tantrum. There she is, gaily laying there on the floor doing that. I looked at the mood meter. It said the stress level was over 100. That's when the weirdest thing in the history of the world happened, but I'm not going to tell you what it was. Okay, I'll tell you, but you have to read the next chapter. So na-na, boo-boo on you. 9. The big surprise ending. Our teachers were going to be fired. The school was going to be shut down. Miss Jojo was having a major meltdown, kicking and screaming on the floor like a baby. I was going to be in 3rd grade for the rest of my life. It was the worst day in the history of the world. My life was over. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew what to do. Somebody had to think fast. That's when Dr. Brad came running into the room. He took his watch out of his pocket, dangled it in front of Dr. Carble's face, and began swinging it back and forth. "Look at these," he said softly. "What are you doing?" Dr. Carbles asked, staring at the watch. "Isn't this shiny?" asked Dr. Brad. "Shiny," mumbled Dr. Carbles. "Stare at the shiny watch as he swings back and forth, back and forth, back and forth," said Dr. Brad. "Back and forth," mumbled Dr. Carbles. "Your eyelids are feeling a little heavy, no?" said Dr. Brad. "Heavy," Dr. Carbles mumbled like a robot. "Are you feeling sleepy?" asked Dr. Brad. "Sleepy. Soon you will be in a trance." Trance. It was working. Dr. Carbles was totally hypnotized. There's another asterisk. Bet you didn't see that coming. We saw it with our own eyes. Well, it would be pretty hard to see with somebody else's eyes. "You will do everything I say," said Dr. Brad. There he is, hypnotizing him. "Everything you say," said Dr. Nose, mumbled Dr. Carbles. "And when I snap my fingers, you will wake up and not remember anything." Not remember anything. "Dr. Carbles, you will keep elementary school open," said Dr. Brad. "Keep school open. None of the teachers will be fired. No firing." That's when I got the greatest idea in the history of the world. I did something that I probably shouldn't have done, but I couldn't help it. I ran over and shouted at Dr. Carbles, "You think you're a chicken!" "Arlo, stop!" said Andrea. "That's not nice." "I'm a chicken," mumbled Dr. Carbles. "You need a place to lay your eggs," I shouted at him. "Lay eggs," mumbled Dr. Carbles. "Bawk, bawk, bawk." Dr. Carbles made more chicken sounds. Then he started running around the room, flapping his arms. "Bawk, bawk, bawk." "I'm a chicken," he shouted. "Where can I lay my eggs? Bawk, bawk, bawk. I need a place to lay my eggs. Bawk, bawk, bawk." Well, that's pretty much what happened. When Dr. Brad snapped his fingers, Dr. Carbles woke up and didn't remember anything. He had forgotten all about closing the school or firing the teachers. It was cool. You should have been there. The only bad thing is that we'll have to keep going to elementary school. But at least I won't be in 3rd grade for the rest of my life. Maybe Miss JoJo will calm down. Maybe I'll figure out how to watch my mouth. Maybe they'll change the name of the FART, the fart test. Maybe everybody will stop talking about cake. Maybe penguins will start giving each other foot massages. Maybe people will stop dropping bowling pins. Maybe Dr. Carbles will find a place to lay his eggs. But it won't be easy. The end. Hope you liked it, Kaylee.